Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about one of the Eureka enrollment controls when talking about referrals, which is verification code. So let's step back for a second and see what that means. This is a screenshot from a admin panel. If I were going to be creating a new referral, I would be typing in the name, the description, and then when I get to type, there's a drop down that has 4 different types: basic, verification code, provider, and cause. This video is going to focus only on verification code. There'll be other videos describing the other 2. So, what is verification code? What happens when you select that, and when should this be used? Those are all questions that this video will help answer. So let's go ahead and dive in. So another word for verification code is UPC. UPC stands for Unique Participant Code, and this is actually the term that we've been using most recently. It's better participant-facing than verification code, and it's a little bit more clear to someone like the protocol project manager or the study team. So verification code remains the back-end language of UPC. So remember, this is what you would be selecting if you're creating a verification code tied to a referral. So there are 2 different types, and I am going to run through them and try to do my best to highlight the differences. And I also have a diagram. So there's 2 types. One is this UPC is fulfilled via a link, and one is a UPC manual entry. Something that is very important to notice right off the bat is the platform. There's differences. UPC fulfilled via a link is currently only for web studies versus manual entry is on web as well as mobile, iOS and Android. So in both cases, the setup is exactly the same. You create a UPC referral. So that's something to very concrete to understand, is that UPCs, so the unique participant codes, are always tied to a specific referral. So Eureka generates those UPCs tied to the referral. So obviously first you have to generate the referral, then you generate the UPCs tied to that referral, and then you can distribute the UPCs to the study team. So that's the same on both. And the need is also the same. A study wants to use a UPC if they're trying to verify and control who enters the study. This is very different from just somebody meeting eligibility or being in a private study. We want to restrict exactly who can enter the study, and there's a variety of reasons. Another need or reason why a study would want to use UPC is specifically to link data sets. So when a participant is given a UPC that is saved in the study team's records, they can link that up with maybe an existing data set. So a good example is ChipBP. ChipBP participants actually were part of a separate study prior to ChipBP that was called CHIP. So just CHIP. And so they already have data on these participants, and they're going to want to link up the data to participants who also participated in ChipBP. So UPC can be used from a data analysis perspective to help link up data. Okay, I think we're good so far. So let's take a look at what actually is the difference between UPC fulfilled via link and manual enter. Okay, so this is a flow diagram that I'm going to review. So UPC, it's an activity technically on web and mobile. When a study chooses to use a UPC, access beyond the UPC activity is restricted until an unused code that exists in the Eureka database is entered. So what does that mean? That means somebody can't, if a study is using a UPC, that means a participant can't go on and complete activities if this UPC activity isn't completed. So this is essentially the gate that you cannot pass. So in a mobile study, a UPC currently must be manually entered by the participant. And we'll take a look at some screenshots of this. Let's just do that now. So this is an example of UPC on mobile. This is a generic version showing what it will look like. The study is only enrolling invited participants. Please enter your UPC to confirm your invitation. If you click Start Survey, there is an area for the user to manually type in their UPC. Once they've typed it in, they can confirm it, and there is a success screen. Likewise, there is also an error screen encouraging the participant to try again. So that is it on mobile. So looking at this flow diagram, if I'm only thinking about mobile for a second, if I'm recruited for this study, I, as a participant, must be provided this UPC. Then, once I download the app, register, and I see the mobile study card for the study that I'm interested in, I must enter the unique participant code in the unique participant code activity. We just saw this. If I entered something incorrectly or I don't know it, I cannot pass. I must keep retrying. And if I put in the correct UPC, that is tied to a referral, and I see a success page, I can continue on to activities. So that is very straightforward. I see the study, I get the activity, I can move on. Okay, let's check this out on web. So this is the same thing. Enter your unique participant code. Your unique participant code can be found on your study invitation. If you need help, email a coordinator. So it looks very similar. I can click here, type in a unique participant code, and confirm it. Same thing, I can get a success screen. Similarly, I can get an error screen saying that something went wrong. Please try again, or email a coordinator. So very straightforward. Both of these are examples of the manual entry. So let's go back to that. That's this column. We're talking about manual entry. This is an example of a code that perhaps I was entering. Delivery method. So remember, we're talking about manual entry. So electronically, perhaps in the email of the study invitation, it has this in UPC. Works on email. Maybe I was texted to it, or maybe it's in print material. So all of those work. Wherever recruitment materials are unique to an individual participant, this manual entry does work. Okay, what are its abilities? All UPCs can have special, parameters. So perhaps certain codes need to be expired for enrollment windows. So a good example of this is in Taylor PCI. There is a procedure date, and they don't want participants enrolling in the study 2 years past that procedure date or something like that. And so knowing what those variables are, the Eureka system can expire UPCs so that it prevents participants from enrolling if they don't meet those parameters. Again, controls who can enter the study, and they cannot pass the UPC until it's typed. So we just saw that. So manual entry, again, last time, has to go straight through. There's no way around it. Okay, so let's look at the other type. This is called UPC fulfilled via a link. So what might that mean? Maybe it means that there's a magic way that a link can contain the information needed so that there isn't a need for a manual entry. So if you thought that, that would be right. So let's take a look. However, in a web-only study, UPC data can be passed within a unique link. The dotted line represents that a UPC activity can be skipped on the web if UPC data provided to Eureka is in the link. Eureka will collect and save the UPC data the same as if a participant had entered it. So look, it doesn't mean that the UPC activity information is not captured, but instead, if you're on a web-only study and you have a very particular link, which I will demo in a second, that particular link can fulfill the requirements for the unique participant activity. And essentially, for the user's experience, it's skipping it. See, it's going above, and they go straight to the next activity. So the important thing to recognize is that from the user's perspective, the UPC activity is skipped. However, from the Eureka perspective, the data is saved and collected exactly the same as if a participant had entered it manually. So let's take a look. Here, let's take a look at this example. So in the manual entry, this is an example of a 6-digit code, UPC, that the person entered. Remember that all UPCs are tied to a referral. So this is an example of a link that a UPC fulfilled via a link, and it has 2 pieces of information. It has the referral, which actually goes all the way down to here. Should all be red. And VC, verification code. That's what we're talking about right here. And it's got these same 6 digits. Again, these are for example purposes only, and you can see that these 2 are the same. So when would you want to use a link like this that passes over this UPC manual entry? Well, since this is essentially a pretty crazy deep link, you wouldn't want to use this in print material. You would want to use this when all recruiting is electronic. So maybe you sent a participant an email invitation and there's messaging saying, hey, this is a unique link that you need to click on. Or maybe it's sent through a text message. What the limitation is that it needs to be electronic, because this example is something that a participant cannot type in. It would be very hard to. Okay, the abilities are the same. The parameters associated with a UPC can also expire after a certain amount of time. So that same example of Taylor PCI and the procedure date still holds. It could be expired. Great. So from the user's experience, UPC association is invisible, meaning participants don't even know that their link has a UPC embedded. So that goes back to our diagram here. Maybe someone clicks on a link from their recruitment page. They get to a landing page that you would see the referral up in the address bar. And then up here, it's when they click that they're interested, they're totally passing over this activity. They don't even really know that it fulfilled the UPC activity, and they're going on. So now you know the difference between a manual entry and a UPC activity that's fulfilled via a link. Now let's take a deeper look into what could happen here. So let's say a study is supposed to use a UPC fulfilled via a link, and let's say that the delivery method was also correct. A participant was given their UPC or their link in an email or an SMS, and let's say for whatever reason a participant doesn't click on the button. This link is probably disguised as something that looks a little bit nicer, but let's say instead the participant just goes to, in this example, Taylor PCI. Okay, so let's check that out. So here I am. I did not click on the intended link, so I don't have the referral. I can tell that it's not here because it's not in the address bar, or the information about the UPC. Remember, if you take a look back here, there's 2 pieces of information. One is the RFK, which is the referral, and the second is the VC or verification code, aka UPC. So I didn't click on any of that information. So what's going to happen when I join this study? Well, the first page that I should hit, or the first blocker, should say that a referral is required. Because remember, a referral is required and UPCs must have a referral. So that's the one that's going to come first. So let's check it out. I'm going to join the study. Okay, I'm at the pledge page. I'm in. Aha, referral required. I can't go any farther. If you were invited, you should have received a special link. Make sure you type it in accurately and retry, or click on it again. Okay, so I've tried that. Okay, let's say I click on somehow half the link. So it has the referral and it has the study URL. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so now I've come here. I have used a referral. Click join the study. I'm in. Aha, now it's that second layer. Enter your new unique participant code. So I would have to come in here, know it, check it in order to continue. So why didn't that work? Well, the first time I only went to the study URL. This second time I had the correct referral, but I did not have this rest of the link that carried the information over with the VC, aka the unique participant code. So both pieces of this information must be present for this to work, for the participant's experience to essentially bypass. And as you saw, if all of that data isn't there, it becomes a manual entry. The first part, remember, was a reminder that you needed to click on that unique link that had the referral information. Once that was done, remember we just saw that it was requiring me to enter manually my unique participant code. So for that reason, when using UPC fulfilled via deep link, it's always a good idea to highlight a UPC for the participant on their invitation, saying something along the lines of, if prompted, your UPC is, so that if I were at this page as a participant, I could successfully continue. Okay, so the rest are we've already gone through. So that is the difference between manual entry and fulfilled via link. And remember, these are both verification code referral types.